the scariness of I don't know what's going to happen on the other side of that almost stops me from doing it. It almost like I was paralyzed by the decision. But I pushed forward and I did it. And I think now, if I hadn't have made that big, bold move that was so damn scary, if I had sat in my chair and just stayed where it was comfortable, what I would be missing out on. Welcome to the Wild Roads. I'm Shonah Lee.
And I'm Paula Ivy. Join us for conversations about how we don't do stuff normal.
How we choose the wild roads of life. We want to show you all that's fun and possible, building businesses, making money,
navigating relationships and parenting, things we nerd out about,
and running at our wildest dreams.
So so annoying. Fucking in the wilderness here. Don't get what he just. He's like on the one window that I want to be on. Right in the corner. Oh, I got him!
Ew.
I chopped him. It's like legit a dead fly. Can you see it?
You nailed him.
Okay, I gotta go wash my hands.
Yes, go wash your hands. Gross. You're a fly ninja, man.
Oh no, full fly ninja.
Oh God.
Anywho.
All right, Paula the Ivy. I want to know, what was your very first, now we're talking old terms here, cassette that you bought yourself with your own money?
Oh, that's a great question. The first cassette tape I bought with my own money.
Mm-hmm.
Cassette tape. I used to make a lot of Peas Sick Mix back in the day on cassette tapes.
How cool were they? Did you record off the radio like I did?
Oh, hell yeah. And it was so annoying when the announcer would talk over the intro or the outro of the song. You're like, dude, you ruined my recording. And it would be so good. You'd have it like I would have mine on like record but pause, just waiting for the like the song to start.
Yeah.
So
you had to reflexes like a ninja.
Oh yeah.
Unpause.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely 100% had 1,000,001 Peas Sick Mix Volume 1, Volume 2. Or Peas Summertime. I can't even remember. But yeah, there was a lot of sick mixes. But the first cassette that I bought that I did not compile myself with my music compiling genius was what was the first one that I bought? The first one that I bought would have been Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Chili Peppers.
Boom.
I had that on repeat in my Walkman. I like seriously, that was on repeat for a good solid like 12 months.
Yes, I still listen to it.
Yeah, it's an epic album, and
love it. It
was one of those albums that like you can't help but sing along to because it was so sick. And every time that I remember I distinctly remember we were on a car trip with the family, clipped into the back seat, and I had my headphones on with my Walkman, and I was singing along. And I remember my mum just stopping me in horror, just going, "What are you listening to?" And I was like, "What? I'm not singing the bad word." Because I must have been like 10 at the time, I think that came out. So.
Yeah.
Well,
that just shows my age because I was probably, when that came out, I think I was like year 11 or something.
Really?
Yeah.
We're not that far apart in age, are we?
I'm 45.
Well, that's a lot of years in school years, isn't it? Because I'm 38.
That's 7
So
years.
probably about right.
You were ready to graduate primary school when I was graduating high school.
Oh
no. I don't want to be like that old. Oh,
you don't seem like that or that much of a difference to me. I think of us as the same age.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to grow up. I never will grow up, probably.
No.
Nah.
No way. All right. What was your first album that you bought?
Mine, I have a really cool memory about this. Mine was Madonna. Like I would have brought it probably year 7, I reckon. And it was Madonna Like a Prayer album. But it was a cassette. So when you know how you had the lyrics and the stuff in the card?
Yeah, the songbook.
The song, it smelled like patchouli. She made it so that it had a scent in it, so that it was like, because it was like, you know, it's supposed to depict, you know, being in the churches in the 60s kind of thing. And so she was really into that. I don't know if you saw the Like a Prayer film clip. It was in church and stuff.
Oh, totally.
And so the actual cassette smelled like patchouli, and I thought, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever, like, I'd go around smelling my cassette. Because I was just like a bloody lunatic.
That's hilarious. All these kids like walking around smelling cassettes. It's like, you know how people love smelling books because there's a book smell?
Yeah.
Then there's like next generation just smelling cassettes.
Yeah, smelling cassettes. It's like, what's this drug, man? It's just patchouli, but you know. It was cool, but it was a great album as well. I think I overplayed that. I totally caught up in my cassette player, and I had to get the biro and try and you know.
Oh, didn't that suck when that happened? When the cassette, like, it would get chewed up in the machine.
Yeah, chewed up. Yeah, sometimes you could save them, sometimes you couldn't. But how fun.
Oh, geez, the elements we had to work with for listening to some music.
I know. And you know what's sad? My kids didn't even go through the CD stage. They're just straight onto Spotify, man.
Wow.
Straight onto iPods.
Yeah. Yeah, my kids, they're a lot younger, and it's whenever they want to listen to something or watch something, they're like, just put it on the phone, Mum. And I'm like, yeah, but like when we're traveling, it's like, yeah, but there's no like internet service here. And they're like, what's the internet? Just play it on your phone. And I'm like, yeah, but I need the internet to play it on my phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, but what's the internet? I'm like, I don't know. It's this magical thing that makes things work. Okay.
Don't make me explain.
It's not like you can hold up a cassette tape and go, this is what's playing the music. You're like, it's in the air, but there's none
Exactly. You cannot see it. Oh, funny. All right, bold moves. Let's talk about bold moves.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. We're talking about bold moves.
Being bold moves. This is something very close to my heart, obviously, because we can make bold moves in our businesses and in our brands. I actually, in life, made probably the boldest move I ever had. I guess for me, as someone in the 20s, I lived probably a life that I was happy, I was good, but it was really to make other people happy more than myself. And so my bold move was about 6 years ago, where I moved out on my own and with my children became a single mum because my life wasn't serving me anymore and hadn't been for a very, very, very long time. And the scariness of, I don't know what's going to happen on the other side of that almost stopped me from doing it. It almost like I was paralysed by the decision. But I pushed forward and I did it. And on the other side of that big, bold move, I found the love of my life. I found, we blended our families together. I absolutely adore Simon's children. He adores mine. We have the most amazing life. We earn more money than we ever have. And we just have all these dreams that both of us are, you know, we both want the same things. We both have goals. We're just going to end up on the same path, and I just know it. Like, we just like this, you know, united, beautiful peas in a pod, beautiful, you know, soul. It was just meant to be like this, you know. And I think now, if I hadn't have made that big, bold move that was so damn scary, if I had have sat in my chair and just stayed where it was comfortable, what I would be missing out on. Like,
100%.
you know,
you and I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking right now.
No, I wouldn't have met you, and I wouldn't have had,
because that's the most important thing out of this story.
Well, that's right. Out of one thing in this life, I met Paula. And I got to hug her at one stage, and I will again. But yeah, like, you know, we did just the quality of life that I have now and the lifestyle I have now and all that we're building, you know, we are really building something really unique and beautiful between Simon and I, like and together on our own, but together. It's bloody phenomenal. Like, who would have thought I could be this damn happy, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Big, bold moves, like, and I will never not make them now.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that was kind of like the catalyst for other bold moves that you are now feeling your way through with the business that you're building, because it requires a lot of bold moves when you're an entrepreneur and when you're, especially when you're a personal brand, when you are the business.
Yeah.
Like, it requires bold moves all of the time. And it's kind of like you need that, like a really big one to sort of go, all right, cool, I've got this. I lived. It felt amazing. It felt scary as AF, but like it felt so amazing. It was so worth it that when you are faced with more bold moves in the future, you're kind of like, all right, I do bold moves. I can do this, even though it's nothing, like, it's something that you've never done before.
That's right. And it's not to say that I'm not scared anymore. It's not to say that fear doesn't jump in anymore. No. It comes. Scary. I just have to remind myself that I made the biggest you know, crazy bold move that I've ever made in my life, and I didn't die. I was okay. And that I get to now experience the part in the middle. I don't want to be on the other side of the bold move without going through that part in the middle that really eats inside, like that it actually tears, like your heart's thumping hard, your nervous system is elevated, it's like on edge. That part makes it worth it as well. Like it's almost weird adrenaline that, and sometimes it's hard to go through, but I think that's all part of it. You can't skip that part.
No, you can't. And so often we like look at where we are now and then wish we were like somewhere completely different without going through that middle bit.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest things that I've learned about making bold moves, is that you need that time in between, or the journey that you go on from where you are now to when it becomes an actual thing. Because it's the hardest part too, but it's the most rewarding part, and it's the part that makes you feel so alive, because it's a roller coaster. Like, 1 minute you're so super excited because you're like, I'm doing it, this is amazing, and then the next moment you're like crapping your pants because there's stuff happening that you're like, why is this happening? Like, there's crazy stuff happening and I don't know if I can deal. All of that is actually expanding your capacity and your capability for when you get there, so that when you get there, you don't crumble, you don't fall apart.
That's
right. Because it's so different to the life that you were living before.
Yeah.
That you don't know if you can actually hold it. It's just the way I see it, it's a journey that you must go on in order to be able to receive the thing that you're wanting to receive in all its beauty.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the part that sort of feels the most electric as well, because once you get there, you're like, I'm here, and you kind of relax.
That's it.
And it kind of just like goes, okay, this is the normal now. Cool.
Exactly.
It's like that journey is like the bit that makes you feel so alive, because you don't know what's going to happen next. You're like, I know I'm heading in this direction, but I have no idea what the next step is going to look like, how that's going to play out, and what's going to happen after that.
Yep. Yep, and that's the boldness. That's the boldness. Otherwise, it's just a move, and that's super vanilla. It's sort of like, you just don't feel anything. It's just like, oh yeah, we're just going on this journey, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
I do the same moves I always do. Yeah. I do that because I know what to expect.
Exactly. That's it. That's right. And I just, I think I just can't do life any other way now. And even just bold moves like getting on a plane and going to Cairns for 2 days. Someone just did that.
Who does that?
Oh my gosh.
Story of my weekend. So, okay. This is what happened. A friend of ours lives in Cairns, and she had asked me like the week before, she's like, I really want you to come up and do a family branding shoot. And I was like, okay, when do you want me? And she's like, it has to be, this weekend. And I said, oh, I can't. We're already booked in to go camping with the family. I can do the weekend after. And she's like, no, I'm not going to be here. So I was like, oh, sorry, I can't. And she was saying that she'd been thinking about it for months, but because, I live in Sydney and we had a little hotspot thing happening over Christmas that we went into lockdown so quickly. And then borders were still closed for a while and it was a whole situation to travel anywhere. And so she didn't want to put that on me to be like, can you travel to Cairns, like get in a plane and go interstate to come and take photos for us? And she's like, I couldn't do that to you. But then once everything sort of opened up and it was all clear to go, and she's like, I've still got 2 weeks here. Can you come? And I was like, the one weekend that you need me, I'm like, I'm not available. It was just kind of like, oh. But then what happened was that the forecast for Sydney was not very good. We actually had flash flooding and like a whole bunch of rain.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So on the Thursday, we decided, okay, we're going to cancel our camping trip because the forecast was like 100% rain and storms at like, I think it was like 30 millimeters or whatever the bomb says. And we're like, that's a lot of rain.
Yeah.
And there was warning forecasts about flash flooding and stuff. We're like, yeah, camping next to a river probably isn't a good idea.
No.
So we cancelled our camping trip, and then later that afternoon, I think it was about 2:00 in the afternoon, I had said to Jana, I was like, so we cancelled our camping trip for this weekend. And I was like, so technically I'm free. And then she responded back, come to Cairns, bring the whole family. And I was like, it actually could happen because my husband's already taken Friday off work and the kids already know that they're not going to school. So we could leave tomorrow and then come back Sunday and come up for 2 nights.
And there's flights available.
And I was like, okay, I'm just going to check if there's some flights available. I'll get back to you. It wasn't that calm. We're like, oh my God, let's go to that kind of a conversation, really. Yeah. So I checked for flights. I checked how much they were going to be. I was checking if there was flights going. I then called my husband who was at work and I said, hey, babe, what do you feel about going to Cairns for the weekend? This is how much it's going to cost. I'm going up, Jana wants me to do a photo shoot, so she's going to be paying me for that. So we're going to stay at their place. It'll be for 2 nights. We can leave at this time tomorrow or this time tomorrow, and then we can come back Sunday. So nobody misses any extra days off school or work than what we were planning to originally to go camping. And he was like, and like he's the type of person that like needs a minute to make a decision. Like he's not like I can just go, yes, let's jump, let's
That's
go.
it. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going
that later.
Whereas he like needs a minute. So I was like,
yeah.
And I said that to him. I'm like, you don't have to give me an answer right now. Just let it mull over. Let me know soon what your decision is. But that's a possibility. And he was like, okay, yep, I'll get back to you, babe. Let me just think about it for a sec. And I was like, yep, cool. He's like, I'm just at work. I'm kind of concentrating on some other stuff. And I'm like, oh, there we go. And then, then I went to go pick up the kids from school and I was literally like this. I was like, oh my God.
we're doing this.
Like just laughing like a crazy person. And my son was just like, Mummy, what is happening? You sound weird. Are you happy or are you scared? Because he kept seeing my face. I was like, no, Mummy's really, really happy. Something exciting might be happening this weekend. He's like, what? So anyway, picked up my daughter from school, got back. And then as we're driving back, my husband had written me a text message that I got when we got home that just said "sold!" exclamation mark, and I was like, "Oh my God, we're going to kids!"
That is so cool.
Yeah. So then I got the kids in the house. We had some afternoon tea. I jumped on, bought the flights at about 5 o'clock that afternoon. Then pretty much just like randomly chucked a whole bunch of stuff into suitcases because I had to pack for everybody. Because we then had to leave at 6 o'clock the next morning to go on the flight.
That's insane.
And then we're up in Cairns by 10:30 the next on Friday morning. Her husband Mark was picking us up from the airport.
That's insane. So basically that big bold move that you did, right? You made the move. You got some epic shots. You had the most amazing time with Jana and the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you got out of the rainy, awful weather, and you got to go to the most beautiful paradise in Australia, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah,
and you got to go into because I know all this stuff, by the way.
You do. You're pretty much Cairns local.
Yeah. Crystal Cascades though, like that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like that is just beautiful. That just like I don't know what it does. It's got magical water in there for something. I don't know. That's amazing. You got to do that.
Magic water. Yeah,
and imagine,
for sure.
Imagine if you didn't go.
I know, but it was. Jana and I were talking about this because they'd been in that house for a couple of months, and ever since she said, "Oh, we're going to be staying in Cairns for a while," and this is the house that we're staying in. Ever since then, like. We kept saying to each other, I so see myself coming to visit you. And she's like, I so see you here, like sitting next to me and us chatting by this pool and like all of the things. And it was like this vision that we both had. And I guess both of us having this vision, but neither of us like forced it to happen because we both went, oh, now's not the right time. But it would be amazing if I can still see it. And it's just like the moment opened up, like the universe went, okay, cool. You both want this. Everything's sort of aligning right now, go. And so you had to jump. It wasn't like, oh, usually when you book a flight, it's usually like a week or a couple of weeks or even a couple of months in advance. And you have like the countdown to the sleeps before you get on the plane and all this sort of stuff. Like my poor kids, they were like, what? We're going on a plane tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, we're going on a plane. They're like, what? And like they literally I woke them up early, we got on the plane, they're still kind of out of it. They're like, we're on a plane. I got the cutest little video of them on the plane, just like my son was sitting by the window and he's like, the plane's moving, we're going in the air.
Oh, that is so sweet. Would have been half asleep. Oh.
Yeah, but it was something like that was easier for me, even though it still felt scary, because we haven't traveled on a plane or even gone into states since before the whole world pandemic situation. So it still kind of felt like, oh, is this going to be safe? I don't know about flying on a plane. But it just, everything was lining up so beautifully. I'm like, I can't not. Let's just trust that this is for us. And, it's all happening. Like we were supposed to be camping, but now there's like flooding and like it was just this beautiful path that was laid out, and it wasn't easy to do, but it was, oh my gosh, it made me feel alive. Like the whole thing, it was just like this roller coaster of like, getting excited, feeling anxious, joy and bliss and gratitude, but also there was like, it was scary, and it was it took work too, and then I couldn't sleep the night before because I was so like just pumped up and full of adrenaline. I'm like, oh my god, sleep, Paula, because this is going to be a good weekend. Like,
oh mate, all your senses would have been oh
my gosh, so much.
But
the thing was that we made a big bold move in 2019 when we decided to travel Australia in a caravan for a year. And I mean, that was kind of like one of the biggest, boldest moves that we had made. And it took so much trust, and it took so much, like, we don't know what we're doing, but we know we want to do this. So let's go, let's jump. It's, you know, like what you did with leaving your previous marriage and like going out on your own. You're like, I don't know what's going to happen. I've never done this before, but I just feel like this is the right move for me, and I can't not go.
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. And now I know the magic of that. Like, that was the most epic year of our lives. And the journey we went on to get there was really hard. And there was a lot of twists and turns. There was a lot of work involved. There was a lot of moments where I was just like, what is happening? It feels like I'm moving further away from this. Like, but I can see in hindsight that everything that happened was happening for us, and it was happening so that we could have the experience that we were dreaming of having.
Yeah.
And
Because at the end of the day, I feel like these big, bold moves are because you really yearn for it. Like, you know, there's things that people put in front of you, and you have a fear, or you have a body, no, I don't desire this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to get in the crocodile cage. I don't want to ski down that black run slope. This isn't for me. I just don't feel it. You know, like there's those fears.
I would never get in a crocodile cave. No desire whatsoever.
There's things where you want to conquer your fears because you really want it and you desire it, or you know, it's something that possibly if you don't make a bold move, you're going to miss out on it, but it's something that you want. Whereas opposed to, it's okay that you can say no to things. You know, you don't have to make the bold move. If it does not sit right in your soul, if it does not sit right in your body, that's like, I don't even care that I get to the end of my life and I hadn't done it.
100%.
You know, there's a difference there.
Yeah. It's like, I have a fear of open water. Like, I've swam in open water once before. It was open water, but it was a coral section, and we went snorkeling there. But I've got like this big fear of sharks. I love sharks, and I think they're beautiful animals. I just don't want to swim in the same ocean as them. Like, I know they're all in the ocean, but like, I don't want to swim where they're swimming.
I feel you, sister. I feel you.
Yeah. The Jaws franchise has pretty much scarred me from sharks. It's like, I have I swam because I wanted to see the turtles. And I was like, if I don't go, I might not see a turtle. And I was in Borneo in Southeast Asia, and I'm like, and I was on one of the remote islands off the coast, and I'm like, I'm probably never going to come back to this place.
No,
like this is like, if I want to go and see what this coral on this island looks like, that's full of turtles and amazing coral life. Like, I think it's one of the most I don't know what the right word is, but like, it's got the most amount of sea life in that coral bed than any other coral in the world, or something dense. With the sea life there. So I'm like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'll probably regret not doing this, even though I have a mad fear of sharks, right? And so the funny thing was, though, I took the bold move and I jumped out of the boat and I swam for half an hour in like open water. Yes, the water probably would have been maybe 2 or 3 meters deep. Like, big enough, like deep enough that a shark could go there, but probably not like a massive shark. So anyway, I swam around for like half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever the time was, went back on the boat, and the whole entire time going out there on the boat, I was saying to the guy driving the boat, I'm like, I'm scared of sharks. Don't park where there's sharks. Like, park the boat away from the sharks. Like, I was like going, don't go near the sharks, right?
So he's like,
I was focused on shark, that when I jumped into the water, there was actually 2 sharks there that I didn't see. And Brendan my husband had already got into the water, right? And he was waiting around the water. I was sitting on the edge of the boat just freaking out. And I was going, all right, I'm going to jump in. And he's just like, jump in, it's great. There's nothing here, it's fine.
He didn't know.
And he knew that were reef sharks. So they were like, for him, he loves sharks. And he swam with some bigger sharks, like he does scuba diving all the time. And he was just like, oh, they're just like little baby reef sharks. He's like, they're not going to hurt her. but they were pretty much right where I was about to jump in, right? And he's like, come in, it's fine, it's fine. And so eventually I jumped in like this, like a big mad person, like arms and legs flailing about, made this huge splash because I was so scared. Swam like quickly over to Brendan, latched onto him. I'm like, he's like, it's cool, it's fine, you're fine. I'm like, okay. And then we started kicking and swimming away. And then like when we're like, I don't know, a good distance from the safety of the boat, he says to me, there was actually 2 sharks when you jumped in. And I was just like, what? And so I was like trying to swim back, and he grabbed me and he's like, no, I'm kidding. Like, he's like, you practically like ran on water. And I was that scared. So anyway, we swam around and then we got back on the boat. And when we got back on the boat, the guy driving the boat was laughing, and him and Brendan like high-fived each other sort of thing. And I was like, was there really sharks? And he's like, yeah, 2 sharks.
2 sharks. Like, oh my goodness.
He's like, oh, they don't bite.
I don't care. It's because it's SHARK.
Hey?
It's because it's SHARK. Like, it doesn't matter how it's spelled, how they explain it. They're still sharks,
a shark with teeth.
They're still sharks.
Yeah. So anywho, that was like a thing. Like, I was like, okay, I've literally swam with sharks and nothing happened.
Yeah.
So now, like what you said, like I don't have a desire to go into a crocodile cage. Like, that would be so horrifically horrendous for my nervous system that I'm just like, it's a hard no. I have no desire to see a crocodile up close.
Not me neither.
I saw some when we traveled Australia, like not like a safe distance sort of away, but I saw them in the wild and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to be anywhere near that.
No.
They are beautiful creatures though, but the thing is that we ended up missing them by about 2 weeks, which was a bit unfortunate. But on the west coast of Australia, you can swim with the whale sharks. And that was something that I was like, I would love to swim with the whale sharks. But, of course, you've got to go out in the big because they're pretty big.
Yes.
So it was kind of like, I was like so scared. But that's something that if the opportunity was there when we were there, if I hadn't have done it, I would have regretted it. So I know I am going to swim with the whale sharks, and I know I am going to freak the hell out when I do. Yeah. But
you desire it.
I desire it. It's a different feeling.
It is a way different feeling, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, totally. And that's when you get what you get out of it. I mean, I reckon if you make bold moves when there's a hard no and you just do it anyway because you're getting pushed to do it or something. But I think that's when you don't even enjoy the experience.
No.
It's just, I don't know, you can have trauma from it. You can like me, think about it all the time of the what ifs. What if that happened? What if this happened? I could have died then. It's not even an enjoyable experience. So I think it's when you really fear something, or it's something scary for you, is like the very first step is to go, okay, do I really want this? Is it a hard no, or is it a hell yes? And then work through the bold moves to go there.
I think it's the difference between it being a desire, but there's fear there because you've never done something like that before, or that you may have had an experience that you're kind of like, oh, I desire that, but that reminds me of this experience that I had, which wasn't amazing. Like, that could happen again. Or it being something that you think you should do, or something that, you think, oh, but if I do that, then this might happen. Like, I want to go here. This is the dream. I want to go here. So if I make this bold move, logically, that makes sense that I'll probably get to here. But whereas what I've learned is, like, the big things that we dream of, like our wildest dreams, there's no logical way to get there. Even if you think in your mind. So, for example, like when we traveled to Australia in our caravan for a year, right? That was a big wild dream of mine. And I was like, okay, how do I get from where I am now to traveling full time in a caravan with my husband and my kids? And I'm like, well, logically, I need to be making X amount of money, or we need to have a car that can tow a caravan. We need to buy a caravan. We need to, like, there's like so many things you can logically do to get there. Yeah. But it's kind of, it can be so overwhelming because you're like, what do I do first? Whereas because it's a wild dream, because you see yourself doing it, and even though it feels really scary to go after it because it's something that you've never done before, and you're like I was literally going, what if we die?
Yeah.
Like, what if we go and we die?
Yeah.
What if we go and our car breaks down somewhere where there's no service and we end up starving to death because nobody comes? Like those sorts of things. I was like, I kept thinking about, you know, one of my kids running off the edge of a cliff, like that sort of thing. I'm like, if you're camping in the wild, like what happens if one of us gets bitten by a snake? Like we live in Australia. There's so many things here in our environment that can kill us.
I know.
And like I had all these wild, like, things go through my mind, but then at the same time I still had that desire deep within my soul going, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. And I'm like, but what if we die? It's like, do it. And it was just like whispering to me the entire time. So I think that's the difference, is like it's a different thing to be like, oh, cool, it's really popular for people to sell all their stuff and buy a caravan and travel around Australia and do the big life of Australia. Maybe we should do that too, because people who do that say it changed their life, say that it, you know, it did this for them, it did that for them. But travel life is not for everyone. If your soul is not desiring it and whispering to you do it, you'll probably do it and then go, I freaking hate this. What am I doing?
Yeah.
This was the worst decision ever. And then giving up, because there are so many people that don't like continue with it. Like they get all the things, they get the setup and they start traveling and then they're like, yeah, I hate this.
Yeah. There's only one way to find out, yeah? Like,
I mean, there is, totally. But I honestly believe that your desire will never lead you wrong. Like you got to have that desire to do it.
I agree.
Even if like the crazy thoughts are running through your head, like, but what if I die? What if I put my family in danger? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if we go swimming with a whale shark and one of the whale sharks eats me? Like, I actually Googled it and nobody's been eaten by a whale shark. FYI. But like, they're the sorts of things that would go through my mind. But at the same time, I still had the soul whisper of like, do it. Yeah, but
this is the thing. And then the whispers, and you try to ignore these whispers and they become screams. And that's when you know, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. So, big bold moves. Cheers to that. Far out. You know,
and then it just becomes something you do.
It is.
It becomes addictive.
It does. Absolutely it does. Because you just know to trust yourself. I think it's an inner trust, an innate wisdom now that you already had, that you can trust yourself to do it, to make the bold move in the first place. But you know, there's obviously the fear and that's still there. But I think after that you have a knowing that you're gonna be okay.
Oh yeah.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah. I always come back to like this is it. We've got one life.
Exactly, one ride, man.
That was a big question you said before, like, am I going to regret this? Like when you are on your deathbed and you're like, I could have traveled Australia in a caravan. I could have swum with the whale sharks. Like I could have left my partner.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, I didn't get to experience that, even though I had the calling to do so. Like I don't want that regret. And I think that it's really important to actually feel like the full spectrum of life, because you feel so alive when you make those decisions. Like even like it doesn't matter what the emotion is, you get to go through the whole range of emotions. It's like this huge roller coaster of like 1 minute you're excited, the next minute you're like scared out of your brain, and like the next minute you're like anxious about something, but then you know something's just like making your heart burst with gratitude. It's just this whole just like experiencing life through all of your senses, and you don't know what's going to happen next. And just that feeling of like, you know, going into the unknown and like having it feel a little bit out of control, and just like trusting is just, for me, it just feels so much more alive. It feels so much more on purpose of like what I'm here to do. Like it feels like alignment when it doesn't actually make much sense, or it's like out of my control, and it's just like going along and doing its thing, and I'm like, okay, I'm just doing whatever I feel called to do next. Doesn't make any sense, but I know I'm gonna get there.
Yep. Same.
Yeah.
And that's the wild road. I will always take the wild road, like you do.
The wild roads.
We always do. The wild roads.
FYI, I think this is the first podcast ep that we have actually officially had our name. The Wild Roads.
The Wild Roads. It's epic. It's totally us. And I think it's what we do. Like, that's how we do life. You know?
Totally. 100%.
Yeah. Love it.
Love it.
Woohoo! Go make some bold moves. Go make some bold moves. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go do it.
Let us know your bold moves.
Yes. All right, chick. I'm out of here.
All right.
Go do some stuff.
See you next time.
Nice talking to you.
Bye.
I write the songs.
Oh, all right, sure. Because I am really shit at writing lyrics.
Nah, Simon's pretty good.
Like, hey, it's the Wild Road. Yeah. Woo.
Wild road tripping.
Yeah, the wild road. On the road, in the wild. And it's wild.
Wild road. Wild road. Wild road.
Wild road.